Welcome to the White Knight Theater. Truth and falsehood, reality and illusion. The suspicion of O.J. Simpson's criminal involvement has grown like an avalanche, rolling and accumulating through layers of testimonies. Will the upcoming polygraph expert bring a reversal? It was you, wasn't it? You killed her. Produced by Himalaya, the fourth episode of the Chinese-American detective Dr. Lee's crime drama, the Rorschach test behind the polygraph. Dr. Lee's contemplation on the plane was interrupted by the landing of the flight. After several hours of flying, the two finally arrived in Los Angeles. As soon as they exited the jet bridge, they were surrounded by nearly 100 reporters and photographers. The involvement of African-American celebrity O.J. Simpson had captured nationwide attention. Sensing the news, the media had gathered at the airport in advance. "Excuse me, Dr. Lee, which side are you on now?" "Well, I'm standing in Los Angeles." "Hot weather, folks. Let me through, please." Among them, a car sent by Shapiro arrived just in time, rescuing the two from the tight encirclement. "Go. Make way, please. Your presence here is affecting our car. Let's go. Get in the car." I didn't expect that my first experience of celebrity treatment would be so chaotic. The case is too sensational. We've tried to keep it confidential, but the media always finds a way in. But since the media has already decided that you're going to be involved in this case, I suppose there's no need for you to hesitate anymore. We're heading to see OG now. The latest news is that, as we all know, when OG received the bad news, he was in a hotel in Chicago. The police have already been there. They did find blood and broken glass in room 915, so that settles the question of the finger wound. You'll see, Dr. Lee, there will be more and more evidence like this. No, this is not the file. From a strict logical standpoint, this doesn't fully prove that OJ's hand wasn't cut during the crime. It could lead to B, but B doesn't necessarily mean A. I know. How was Nicole's funeral yesterday? Dozens of satellite trucks. The media was almost crawling into the coffin. OJ was crying uncontrollably at the back of the chapel, but his psychologist gave him some sedatives to calm down. But in front of the media, he managed to stay calm. The final kiss he gave Nicole was also deliberately avoided by the media. It doesn't seem like the reaction of a murderer. The real killer wouldn't have that kind of response. Mr. Shapiro, these kinds of speculations, you should gradually slow down as the car decelerated and stopped in front of a luxurious mansion, surrounded by dense shrubbery. A tall, middle-aged man was waiting at the door. "Dr. Lee, this is Robert Kardashian, OJ's good friend." After this incident, paparazzi were all over the place looking for his whereabouts. Kardashian specifically emptied this house, which was a great help to OJ. Kardashian has a law degree and is now a member of the defense team. "Hello, Mr. Kardashian. Nice to meet you, Dr. Lee. I've heard a lot about you, but never had the chance to meet. From now on, in any place in Los Angeles, restaurants, hotels, theaters, you can tell the owner that you are my friend." Robert Kardashian is tall and exudes the aura of a wealthy businessman. He also has a well-known special identity that is a regular guest on multiple reality TV shows of the American internet celebrity family. In fact, Robert Kardashian was already quite famous in the United States in 1994. Most of the time, he, as the person in the defense team who knew Simpson the best, played the role of a buffer between the defense team and Simpson, always able to soothe Simpson's sudden outbursts. "Please come in, Dr. Lee. Would you like something to drink? Find a place to sit?" No, you have to do it my way, not the other way around, okay? The person speaking while leaning on the second floor railing is tall and robust, especially the muscles around the shoulders and back, which slightly deform the fashionable brand pajamas he is wearing. At this moment, he is gesticulating and arguing with several others, looking a bit upset. This is the first time Dr. Lee has met O.J. Simpson in person. Soon, reminded by others, Simpson stops complaining, looks down at Dr. Lee, and his expression softens. After a few deep breaths, he shows his standard 8-tooth smile. Without waiting for Shapiro to introduce him, he walks straight up and extends his surprisingly large hands to Dr. Lee. "Ha, Dr. Lee, nice to meet you. It's a pity that we meet under these circumstances. I believe your arrival is to help me get out of this regrettable situation. Jota, time is of the essence. We need to examine you first. Dr. Lee will handle this part. The court will trust his impartiality. Dr. Lee and O.J. Simpson entered a secluded room. After Shapiro closed the door and left, Dr. Lee began to carefully examine and photograph Simpson's body. The camera recorded the many obvious old injuries and hypertrophic scars on this veteran athlete's body. The camera recorded the many obvious old injuries and hypertrophic scars on this veteran athlete's body. These photos will have two uses in the future. First, to prevent Simpson from being treated unfairly during questioning after his arrest. Second, if the police find more evidence on the victim's body or the crime scene that confirms the perpetrator must have a certain type of defensive injury, the defense can respond immediately based on this appraisal record, verify the situation, or propose a proof of innocence. When Dr. Lee noticed the wound on O.J. Simpson's left middle finger, Simpson instinctively dodged and placed his hand on the back of his head. Could you turn around, please? Okay, there are no other fresh wounds. Lift your arm. There's some discomfort under the armpit. Why? Well, it feels a bit uncomfortable when pressed. There seems to be a lump here. I suggest you get it checked out when you have time. It's not a big deal, but if left untreated, there might be a slight risk of deterioration. Also, your physique is very robust with well-developed muscle groups. You are truly a top-tier football player. You declined a lot since retirement. About the lump and all that, I'll go to the hospital as soon as this is over. I hope that day comes soon. All right, I'm done. You can get dressed now. Okay, Dr. Lee, I don't know how Shapiro convinced you to join the team. Thank you very much for coming. First-class cabins, 5-star hotels are no problem. Do you have any other questions? Regarding the payment, Shapiro will talk to you. Did you kill Nicole? The first meeting between Dr. Lee and O.J. Simpson ended here. Immediately afterward, a polygraph expert from a private polygraph center arrived. O.J. Simpson realized that Shapiro was making comprehensive preparations before the storm, and specifically avoiding the police by hiring someone from a private polygraph center seemed to reveal Shapiro's doubts about O.J. Simpson. In the 1960s, polygraphs and control question techniques were widely used in the United States. The questioner would mix control questions, which are irrelevant to the case but are veiled and threatening, such as "Have you ever stolen something from a friend?" with specific questions related to the case, such as "Did you commit the robbery on June 17th?" At the same time, the subject would be repeatedly reminded that the polygraph machine could accurately distinguish truth from lies, and they must answer truthfully. Many psychologists at the time believed that polygraphs essentially measured anxiety, as the physiological responses caused by anxiety or anger were very similar to those of lying. Therefore, the reliability of the test results was hard to guarantee. It wasn't until 1998 that the U.S. courts ruled that polygraph conclusions could not be used as evidence. And with the widespread application of DNA and blood evidence in criminal investigations, polygraphs gradually faded from the stage. However, in 1994, when the O.J. Simpson case occurred, the polygraph was still an important forensic tool. As Shapiro paced outside the room, waiting for the polygraph results, Dr. Lee and Sam joined forces in the living room on the first floor, beginning to observe the situation inside the house. At that moment, the house was packed with people, including experts from various fields recruited by Shapiro, as well as O.J. Simpson's close friends and family members. The TV screen flickered with fluorescent light, and no matter how the channels were changed, news related to Simpson could be seen. Dr. Lee, what do you think of O.J.? He looks exactly like the one on TV, especially when he smiles. I'm asking if he looks like a murderer. I'm not a fortune teller who reads faces. What I mean is, from the perspective of criminal profiling, does he seem like the perpetrator? That's the police's job. And besides, we haven't seen the crime scene yet. What about your first impression? Suddenly, a muffled sound came from the second floor, interrupting their conversation and drawing the attention of everyone downstairs. I said it, I don't know what's going on. You're dead. How could I calmly answer those damn questions? O.J. Simpson suddenly flew into a rage in the polygraph room. Even the sound of smashing a vase could be heard. Does the polygraph results show that O.J. Simpson is indeed the murderer? Were all the previous actions just pretense? Eventually, Attorney Shapiro learned the full story from the polygraph expert. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Police Department obtained an arrest warrant for O.J. Simpson, and the tension reached its peak. Before we begin, I need to clarify that this is a polygraph examination. All conversations on site, test data, and polygraph results will not be retained or leaked in any form. Do you have any other questions? Mr. Simpson, no. All right, let's begin. What's your name? Orenthal James Simpson. What's your relationship with Nicole Brown? She's my ex-wife. How long did your marriage last? 7 years. During these 7 years, have you ever thought about killing Nicole? No. How many children do you have with Nicole? 2. Have you ever hired someone or in any way hinted to someone to kill her? No. Did you see the murderer of Nicole on the day she was killed? No. Did you kill Miss Nicole Brown and Mr. Goldman? I have no reason to say otherwise. I have a wonderful life, absolute fame, and wealth. Why would I risk destroying all of this?